Hey guys, here we are back at the shop. Today we're going to look at these are some engine house doors that I have castings for. They're good size for like a single stall engine house, or if you had multiple stalls, have multiple bay openings. But anyway, this one is it's right at 8 3/4 inches tall. And they're 4 inches wide each, 4 inches, so that'd be 8 inches total. What I was going to do is show you how I kind of install these. This is part of the castings from Scale Art Parts. They had made the doors, but not any hinges that went with it. And what I wanted a hinge where I could lift the door off in case I ever needed to move it or service it. Actually, I'm building the building a little bit of time. What I've done is I fixed it where the door sits down on the hinge. I've already had somebody point out that the hinges should be top and bottom, but I understand that. But the way I made them, I wouldn't be able to bring it up above it to clear this strap hinge here. So anyway, the hinges I've made, they're made right and left hinges. When you get this door, it is clean. It does not have a hinge here. The problem with having one in place is trying to drill this hole way out here, trying to get a drill bit in there. So what you do is they come undrilled. You have to figure out what size hinge you want. This is a 62 thousandths piano wire. And how I set it up and get it to work is I go ahead and drill my holes in both of these. I also drill it in this. The hinges come. You have to drill those hinges out also the same size. And then what I do is I get these hinges in place, and I cut a piece of piano wire long enough to go through all three. And so what I do is I put it on these two here, and then I slide this one in the middle, and so it's just pivoting on the piano hinge, on the piano wire. So what I do is I'll leave it on the piano wire. I've got this all cleaned up. I run some CA glue on it, and the piano wire is nice and straight, and I just lay it down on there and let it sit and glue it in place. And once you've got that glued in, it's ready to go. So I still leave the piano wire in here to test fit the hinges. Okay, so they come in here, and I make sure everything's straight and in line. I make sure I've got clearance top and bottom. I had to make a smaller hinge so I could get down here at the bottom. I couldn't use a full size one. But this one's totally installed. It works perfectly. I have gone back, and this is just styrene. You can use you can cut the piano wire if you do that, or you can get some brass, even from like Hobby Lobby or somewhere. Get a piece of brass. The only reason I like piano wire doing this part is that it's nice and straight and it's rigid, and if you have brass, you can bend it pretty easy and get it out of shape. So what I have done here is I take the styrene. It's good enough to hold this door. I've already tested it up right, and I cut it just long enough to clear just a little bit above that hinge there. And what I'll do is I'll come back after I make sure all that fits up, and I will let me pull this off here. I will take and I will glue that piece. After I cut that styrene, I'll cut it off and glue it in place. And so that'll be cut short. Let me just go ahead and cut this one. Okay, what I'll do is I'll glue that in place. Hopefully you can see the piece sticking up. I'll clean that up and make sure that it fits well inside that strap hinge. Okay, so I'm gonna do all three of those that way. What I do first is I take and I put this bottom one in place. I'm gonna have to clean this up a little bit. It's a tight fit on there, but what I do is I just take sandpaper and reduce the size just enough on this that fits in there really nicely. And I will glue this bottom one in place. I'll get the door where I want it, make sure I got clearance, and I'll glue this one in place with CA glue. Push it in place and glue it. Then I go up here and I do the top one the same way. And once I'll make sure that once this one's glued and the glue sets, I'll make sure my door pivot's okay. So it pivot, like that pivot's fine. Then I go back and I put the third one in place. And I put that in third just so I make sure that everything looks nice and pivots. I hold it in place, make sure everything pivots right before I glue it in place permanently. So it's a real easy setup. The only thing you'll have to get is the piano wire, if that's what, you know, to make that piece there. You can get your styrene or the piano wire at any good hobby shop like Hobbytown USA. They all of them carry it, and just have to drill out your own hinges and put them in place. When I do sell a set of hinges, there are 2 extra hinges. There's a total of 8. There's 2 of the small ones and 6 of the larger hinges. So if you mess one up, you'll have extra. If you really screw something up, call me. I'll make replacement ones pretty easy, pretty cheap. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get this all installed here, show you that they both work, and then we'll finish up this video. Okay, here we are. We're about finished up. I've got these hinges fixed here. I was going to show you this one. Hopefully you can see it. Okay. When I did the styrene, like I said, you can use the music wire for this piece, or like I said, I had styrene on hand, so I used it. When you glue it in, you want to make sure. I had actually glued these drilled these out just a tad oversized for the styrene. And it was even a tad oversized for the piano wire, so I could make sure that I could get the, in case I did not drill straight, I could get it perpendicular. So when I went to drill I put the styrene in, this one was a little large. So what I do is I put a drop of CA on top. I insert the styrene down in there, and then I make sure it's vertical this way and vertical that way, so it's perfectly straight either way that I have it. But just to install, these 2 are installed. I do use CA, and then I use it looks wet here because I got sprayed it with this. It kicks it and makes it dry a lot faster. But anyway, now this door hinges perfectly. What I'm gonna do now is make sure my door's down where it's supposed to be, and I've already got it marked. I'm gonna put CA glue on here if I don't drop it, and I'm going to install this in place. And this will be my last one. You can always check this before you do it, make sure your pivot's gonna be fine. It wants to migrate up, so I mean, I know you're not gonna be opening the door all the time, but anyway, you want to make sure that's perfectly straight and that it works. So now I'm just going to glue it. And with any resin parts, before you do any painting, you need to wash them. I do use a mold release, so you need to wash anything that you're going to paint. If you're going to glue to a surface, before you glue, you just need to take a real fine sandpaper, just rough it up. It gives it something to bite to. So we're just going to take this, push it in place, make sure our door is down where it's supposed to be, and we're going to make sure this is vertical. And then we're going to hit it with a little bit of kicker. Alright, that will set that pretty quickly. Make sure our door works. How the door works. Now when I go to paint this door, I just have to open it all the way and just work it off the hinges. So my hinge, that's one reason I didn't have this strap up top, because it gets in the way of those hinges moving up. So just to put it back on. And you don't want to force it, you just want to move it easy. There we go. Back in place. So now I can pull it off to paint it. All right, that's more or less, we're done with the door installation. If you do buy a set of doors, I'll go ahead and it's a front and back casting. I'll go ahead and glue them. So all you have to do is install the strap hinge itself. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope it helps. If you have any questions, you feel free to contact me at tysplains.com. And my phone number, email address there, you can call me or email me, and I'll get any information you need to you. Thank you very much.